You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN. And now, TSPN News with Tom Slavik. Comprehensive news because in today's world, you need more than just sound bites. TSPN, streaming on the World Wide Web, and now on demand at tspntv.com. Hi everyone, I'm Tom Slavik and welcome to TSPN's News for Today. And today I have John Plasse with me, Supervisor District 1. How you doing, John?
Very good, Tom.
Okay.
How you doing?
Well, earlier on AM Live, John Plasse, one of the supervisors, does the supervisors report from yesterday, Tuesday's meeting. So we have that. We're going to play that out as a clip. And so first we're going to go to a break, then you're going to see John Plasse telling you what happened at the Board of Supervisors meeting, and then I'm going to have him back and we're going to talk about the workshop where they discuss the 88 Pine Grove Corridor State Route 88 project. So stay with us right here on TSPN. You're watching Amador County's #1.
Good morning, Amador County. This is Supervisor John Plasse, District 1, here with the Board of Supervisors report from yesterday's meeting, December 9th. First on was a deed of gift from the Sonato Family Trust. Many of you remember Larry Sonato, longtime local, had a series that he hosted on this television channel for a number of years, and also his recent contributions to the Newsman's Alley. Larry passed away. Gosh, it's probably been a year and a half to 2 years ago now, and his family has requested that the county accept his historical collection, the historian over the years here in Amador County, into our county archives. Larry had a wealth of information and historical memorabilia, all relevant to Amador County, and we were requested to accept that gift from the Sonato Family Trust and preserve it in our local art. Was happy to do so, and on a 5-0 vote accepted that gift graciously from the Sonato family. Next on our agenda was Victory Village, the Veteran Services Organization's request for local approval for a grant program to help with homelessness among the veterans population. This focuses on either single veterans or veterans and their fees to provide services, housing stabilization services, and other prevent homelessness amongst the veterans population. It actually complementary grant application to an earlier grant that was awarded Victory Village of Services Veterans and Families grant that they were awarded earlier this year. They conduct those services both from their road as well as a mobile program that they have, because this grant that they asked for is relevant to providing those services in 3 of our local counties, Calaveras, Amador, and Tuolumne. Just a laptop and a van to mobily access those veterans in need and help provide those services on this. So the board voted to provide that certification of local acceptance to Victory Village. Next we went on to an administrative item that was a request from the City of Ione to allow a contracting firm that they have contracted with to access the county's State Board of Equalization relevant to sales tax distribution and allocation collected from the construction project of the new Mule Creek State Prison infill project. As many CDCR, the state of California, is constructing an infill facility down at the Mule Creek Prison, adding an additional 1,584-bed facility down there. And part of the negotiation in preparation for local acceptance of that project was the allocation of sales tax to stay within the county, basically naming the construction site the point of sale so that all materials in excess, I believe, of $5 million would defer to the local economy in terms of their sales tax collected for those material sales. It is a $330 million project, so there's some significant numbers there that need to be allocated correctly, either to the County of Amador, the City of Ione, and maybe in some cases to the city of Sutter Creek, because Amador Transit provider is one of the major suppliers down at that project. We subsequently went on to acceptance of our draft meeting schedule calendar. The board has to prioritize and plan its meetings for all of the next year, 24 Board of Supervisors meetings, a host of Board of Equalization and AFPD and other meetings throughout 2015, so that was taken care of. Next up was an item that was brought up by me, actually, to work with Amador Water Agency and the other affected water agencies, both in Calaveras and Amador County, regarding the cost to defend our county against the proposed wild and scenic legislation for the McCalmy River that Foothill Conservancy and others brought forward last year. You may recall they utilized a very fast track called gut and amend process, took a bill out of Parks and Rec and into a natural resources bill to promote and try to legislate the inclusion of the McCalmy River in the wild and scenic designation. This had the very strong, not just possibility, but factual application of a hindrance of Amador County's and Amador Water Agency's McCalmy River. We worked for months, as you may recall, negotiating with the parties, trying to get language into the bill that would protect our long-term water rights to be able to perfect those water rights. Many agencies had their water rights curtailed, which meant they could no longer draw water off of the river system, whatever it was, as a result of drought conditions that they utilized for their water, so their only reliable source thereafter was stored water. At any rate, the fight to defeat that bill was successful, but had a cost to the taxpayers and local ratepayers of $123,472, and we felt it was only fair that both the county and other water agencies share in that expense that was borne 100% by AWA and their ratepayers. So we contributed, I believe, 27% of the cost of that bill, which is Amador's share, so to speak. Went on to a community facilities district by annexing some additional parcels into the fire protection district, and lastly at 1 o'clock the State Route 88 Pine Grove Corridor project, an update and funding. The Board of Supervisors basically wanted to give direct supervisor for project priorities of our time. That was the extent of our day. Went till 5:30 in the afternoon, and thank you. We'll be back soon.
You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN. You wanted us close. Well, hi everyone, and welcome back. Once again, I'm with John Plasse. John, hey, thanks for coming by AM Live early in the morning and delivering that report. And, you know, I know that's Richard Forster had some meetings.
Yeah, he had to travel to Sacramento today to RCRC meetings.
You know, and I think that's one thing that a lot of people like, you know, maybe ourselves, like as the media, get out to your people, get out to the viewers, let's put it like that, that there are a lot of meetings and things that supervisors do. A lot of times I don't know if they, meaning the viewers, the voters, the public knows all the stuff that you guys are involved in.
I don't think they do. I don't think they do. We each serve on close to 15 other committees and commissions and boards along with the Board of Supervisors. There's just a lot to be done out there, and each of us tries to take our share. And
the amount of you know, reading and you know, getting up to speed with all of these different things, the way everything works. Well, anyway, so that's one of the reasons why we have you. And I know the Board of Supervisors yesterday at 1 o'clock had a workshop to talk about exactly what was. I believe you said in your report that you wanted to have the workshop. Were you one of the people that wanted to have it, or?
Well, because I sit on the, speaking of additional commissions, I sit on the Transportation Commission. I am expected to cast votes on that Transportation Commission for what I perceive to be the good of all of Amador County and its transportation system. But I don't necessarily like to just take that stance on my own, because There's other supervisors whose districts, they want to see transportation dollars go into their districts, and I may want to see them come into my district. So I try to get away from that, that district by district game of trying to, bring
I guess
home
on the federal
bacon,
level,
so to
okay,
speak.
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
Right.
and I'm not a big supporter of that methodology, so what I wanted to do was have the entire Board of Supervisors weigh in on how we as a body felt that our transportation dollars, limited as they are, should be prioritized throughout the county as a whole. And part of that revolved around the Regional Transportation Plan update that the County's Transportation Commission, ACTC, is currently involved in right now, and part of it revolved around how ACTC had sort of promoted and programmed funding for a pretty large-scale project in Pine Grove that in my estimation, might not have been the most judicious spend of our limited transportation dollars.
Did that grow out of, the concept back where we needed so many dollars that we went into, how would you put it, a partnership, I guess, with Calaveras, Tuolumne, and that for, say for the bypass, and they needed a bypass, and this, so they said, well, Amador County, we need your dollars, this STIP cycle or something, so we'll give you some of our dollars for the next one, and things like that, in order to build the large projects. Of course, ours was the bypass.
Sutter Creek bypass,
right.
Correct.
And that seemed to be going year after year after year. Did you find that then people thought, well, that's the natural way that we do things? We just take on a really big project and all the money goes to it?
Well, that seemed to be the direction things were going, was adopting these really large-scale projects at times when our revenue sources from the state were declining and continue to decline. And then it morphed into the development of projects that were more about, quite frankly, making the highway through town look more like a main street. And they called it the complete streets concept through Caltrans. And let's try to make walkable and bikeable communities. And that seemed to be the direction of emphasis. Okay. And so you ended up with these, in the case of Pine Grove, a $40 million project that wasn't a bypass around town like was originally envisioned to alleviate the congestion through that in-town corridor. It wasn't a bypass around it. It wasn't increased lane carrying capacity through the town. It was essentially the construction of miles of sidewalks and shoulder widenings and a few medians and 3 additional stoplights and a very expensive fix for the Pine Grove Elementary School up there, which was deferring to the benefit of the school district and their facility, but it was using transportation dollars to do that. And at a time when the school district really didn't support the fix or declare there to be a problem.
Okay.
So,
I just want to go to where it seemed like that it got to be that corridor project, that Main Street
complete streets
concept, because any of the bypasses that might have been chosen were even more expensive.
That's correct.
Right?
That's correct.
Okay.
But my point is, Tom, that if you identify a problem, and frankly the problem that was going to exist in Pine Grove was identified through projections that were made about how much the area was going to grow in the next 20 years. Well, we all know that those projections were about as wrong as projections can be, right. And population up-country has actually decreased. So if there's no longer the problem and the proposed fixes, such as a bypass and so forth, are no longer financially viable, my point is allocate that transportation funding to areas that have a bona fide need for infrastructure improvement to address bona fide problems, and not just say, well, we had allocated $40 million for a fix in Pine Grove that really isn't necessary, but let's spend the $40 million anyway. That just isn't responsible.
Is that what the workshop addressed, or did it address something?
Well, that's how the workshop...
I'm going to give you the time for now. Go ahead.
Okay, that's how the workshop came about, and because Pine Grove is in the unincorporated area of the county, it is a county project. The county government is the lead agency for that project. Now, we authorized ACTC years ago to be the lead agency just through the initial planning and creation of the environmental document for a Pine Grove project.
Okay.
Board of Supervisors did. Just through that point. We're almost completed with that point now. And now it gets down to actually drawing up the plans and specifications and engineering for that portion of the project that you have come to determine is absolutely necessary and needs to be constructed. And at this point, it requires the county getting more involved in it and determining, again, where best to spend limited dollars, and is it spend $40 million in Pine Grove and therefore not have any money from the STIP program to spend anywhere else in the county or cities for the next 15 years? I didn't see that great of a need to justify spending 100% of our discretionary monies for the next 15 years in that one spot. Not for the transportation improvements that were deemed to be created through that spend. So.
Okay, give us a look, John. While you were talking about that, I didn't go to that meeting. Tell us what it looked like, who was there, and what you were talking about.
Our staff, county's Community Development Director, Aaron Brusatori, and our Chief Engineer there, Jared Ranking, they have taken the preliminary drawings produced by ACTC's contractor, Dock and Engineering, and they have now gone through as completely as they're able to, given the amount of information that they have to work with, and tried to look at that project and say, okay, where are we? Where do we want to go? What do we deem to be, bona fide expenditures in that area that make real transportation operational improvements? And what do we see as maybe a greater priority project that we could allocate some of that funding to? So that's what yesterday's workshop, not tomorrow's, was about, was looking at that project. Where are we? How to give me direction to cast a vote on the ACTC board as to where the County Board of Supervisors as a body feels that the allocation of funding where it should go, and place that into the regional transportation plan, so that all these projects that we have in various stages of advancement can go forward. Because without a project, Tom, being listed on the regional transportation plan, it can't benefit from that STIP funding that is available. It has to be
John, we have
delayed.
about 2 minutes. Can you give us kind of a recap of in that time of what was talked about? Or did you get a sense of direction?
Yeah.
Do you have one?
Yeah, I was given a sense of direction. Basically, the county felt that some of the priorities in the Pine Grove corridor are some type of fix around the school area there to alleviate congestion at pickup and drop-off time for kids. But the county board wants our staff to come up with some different alternatives from those that have been came up with. Geez, I can't speak here this morning. That were
I understand what you meant.
Proposed by the stakeholders group, excuse me. So some type of fix around the school area, a fix with improved lane access and turn lanes at the Ridge Road and State Route 88 location. The highest priority was a lighted crosswalk similar to what we see out here at the bottom of the grade in Jackson, so that people going to the Pine Grove Town Hall have a safer crossing of the state highway in there. That's something we're probably going to have to pay for.
And when you talk about lighted, do you mean the lights in the road bed?
Embedded in the roadway.
Yeah,
they call that a hawk system.
It's easy to see, John.
Yeah, and that's the important fact up there. There's been some very near misses up there, and we want to address that safety feature. And the Taboo Road and 88 intersection with all that Pine Acres population and so forth, accessing that intersection, that needs some improvements to make it a safer intersection, bottom line. So those were the priorities that I was asked to bring forward to ACTC, as well as the board's recommendation for allocating funding to those areas and potentially partnering with Jackson for the construction of Wicklow Way between Stony Creek Road and essentially Walmart out there. The feeling is Jackson is focusing on their Sutter Street extension from Dietert Park and up to Hoffman, and then carrying that through with a Wicklow extension from Stony Creek to Walmart. You essentially have created then a bit of a bypass around Jackson that takes some of the clustered concentrations of the two schools, the junior high and the high school, and the court systems and all that population base up there, and keeps them from having to utilize Argonaut Lane and 88 at that very bad highway intersection at the top of the grade where people up by the Ledger Dispatch are trying to turn left out of there, and it's dangerous.
All right.
So,
well, maybe we'll have you back on and talk more about this when...
It's a complicated topic, Tom. I know I could talk
is.
forever on it, and people don't want to listen to me forever.
Okay, well, we need to take a break, but I wanted to find out if you were getting any feedback from the population.
I think the population realizes that when we have the worst roads in the state, as has been designated by state of California and newspaper articles and so forth, we can't be spending limited dollars in a manner that doesn't try to correct that situation. So we need to introduce a system preservation alternative in our spending, so we sort of preserve and maintain and rehabilitate what we've got. We don't need to build $40 million projects for the sake of sidewalks and additional stoplights. What we really need to do is maintain what we've got. So,
okay, John, thanks for coming by and bringing us up to date on what happened at that workshop. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time right here on TSPN.
You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN.